Hello, thanks for joining. In this video, we're going to give you a Bitcoin update. So, as you can see so far, we got a inverse head and shoulders, as you can see in this pattern right here. And as you can see from the y-axis volume profile, we do have quite a bit to go through before we can break past this high psychological barrier at 11,000, and once we break that, I'm pretty confident that it'll at least reach 12,000, and that's when we're going to test the downtrend line. However, if we do break past that, there's a high probability of this inverse head and shoulders completing, and price projections for that for conservative price projection would be around $13,000. So we'll see what happens. It's a pretty critical area. I'm pretty confident it's not going to just collapse right here, but I would like to see some volume on down here though to help move the price up. But we'll see what happens. I'm pretty confident that it'll at least hit this downtrend line, and this is a really important line. Once it breaks that, then as you can see from the y-axis price volume, once it clears this, it easily jumps to the next one, and so the next one is at 13,500. We also have Adam and Eve pattern, and if this Adam and Eve pattern does complete, it will go to, if we just use our curve retracement, just go like that. So usually for projections, you want to use a 1.618 fib line, and that also is around $13,000, $13,300. So that would be a price target for you, a possible price target. And yeah, so for this Adam and Eve pattern, it'll most likely go to at least 11,700, and from there it's going to test this downtrend line. And whether or not if that breaks, then the next level up will be to test 1.618, and that is at 13,300, 500, 13,200, around that area. Now, from a Bitcoin, I drew this Bitcoin fractal from 2013, so we'll see if this completes or not. It could easily break. So as you can see here, the price target for it here is also around $13,000 US, and this happened back in 2013. So just watch out for this. This could just be a false breakout before it breaks down again to 6,000. But it's kind of hard to tell what the market sentiment will be in the near future, especially when we've had 2 months of this downtrend here. It's pretty hard to kind of guess that right now. The crypto market seems to be pretty bullish so far, and what I can sense from the cryptocurrency market is that everyone is pretty bullish. It's just everyone's trying to guess right now whether Bitcoin will just kind of clear through 13,000 and continue going up, as you've seen previously from previous pullbacks like this. But this was a pretty big correction. Usually when this kind of correction happens, it usually takes a little while for it to be able to build momentum back into the bullish back into a bullish trend. So we'll see what happens. Just watch out, because I do expect this to break out to here. I'm pretty confident in that. And when it hits 13,000, this is where the real test will be. If it breaks through here and then uses 13,000 as support, that's pretty good, because as you can see previously, it is a very big resistance level, and if this resistance level continues to a support level, then that's a really good sign. But until then, we'll see what happens. I'm currently have some leverage positions in, and got in around 10,136 right here. So, and then my price target is at 13,000 US dollars, and for Bitcoin. And then so I'll see, I might do a short position here, but I'm still kind of uncertain. I'll kind of figure that out, see what market sentiment is, but I do expect it to pull back to at least 11,300, somewhere around there, just to test this, and then if it breaks through that, then I expect it to go back down to 8,500. But if it holds that level and then bounces back up, that's also a pretty good sign for the continuation of this Bitcoin bull run. But it's still hard to tell. Everyone kind of has your own hypothesis of what's going to happen. Now, this isn't the exact time frame. It just kind of gives you a general idea of what the previous Bitcoin fractal did. And if you don't know what a Bitcoin fractal is, it's just a pattern that seems to happen over and over again. This is the one that I took from 2013. So in 2013, it did a 70% pullback, and then after the pullback, which is exactly what happened in this pullback as well. So so far it is performing that same pattern, and this pattern was before Bitcoin price went up to around 12,000 back in 2013. There is another pump before that, just before that, that took Bitcoin over to like the $100 range, and this is what that Bitcoin fractal is. I took that one just because it matches that profile so far, and because of how bullish the crypto market is. Huge institution money will be coming in, lots of interest. The American SEC seems to be pretty bullish, and they seem to be putting forward favorable cryptocurrency laws that will allow this market to grow. But it's hard to tell what the major players are within the banks, and whether they're going to let this technology undermine their business model. So it'll be interesting to see who the banks support in lobbying the government, and the most important thing is to follow the money, and that's pretty much a pretty golden rule. If you know where the money's going, you kind of generally know what's going to happen in terms of policy making, and can't see the banks not going down without a fight. And I think there will be some resistance from the banks sometime. So in other news is ZClassic, and ZClassic had its airdrop today, and as you can see, when the airdrop happened, this thing just tanked all the way from about $100 to all the way to $12 now. There's a guy that I follow called CryptoBud, and he said that he had buy orders around $10, $11. So whether or not he was able to pick some up at this price, it was a pretty good trade. And this is what I mean when you finding opportunities like this. This was completely oversold very, very quickly. And as you can see, it did hit the previous support level exactly. So you could have timed this trade pretty well if you had your buy orders down here, and if you did, you would have made about 200% in a couple of seconds, which would be a pretty good trade. And that's how you make crazy gains in a short amount of time. It's just these really crazy, violent overreaction of people selling, and then this is where you should see opportunity. So yeah, you should never let things like this scare you. You should always see these things as opportunity that you can take advantage of if you're planned out ahead. I wasn't planned out ahead. I was in the ZClassic trade. I held it just because when the airdrop happened, the ZClassic wallet on Bittrex did not work, so I was unable to sell my ZClassic around this price. The wallet didn't work, and I wasn't able to send any of my funds over there, so I just had to hold ZClassic and get the Bitcoin private, which we'll see what happens. Bitcoin private so far is only accepted on, I think, HIT BTC and KuCoin. So we'll see whether or not KuCoin will have enough volume in order to push Bitcoin private to the $500 range or $200 range. It's still pretty early to tell. I'm not too sure if Binance is still in the works, but I'm pretty sure that Bittrex has not supported, and I'm not too sure if they will. So that's still kind of up in the air. If it gets added to Binance, I'm pretty confident that the price will go to at least 400 to 500, maybe even to 1,000. I'm not too sure. It's still it's kind of hard to tell with how the market is. If everything's in a huge bull run, I could see it going to that. Having anonymous Bitcoin transactions is actually a pretty big deal. Now, even though they just took the technology from Zcash, they just forked that, and then they just added some Bitcoin. They just changed some code around and made Bitcoin private. So we'll see what happens, whether or not the team can grow this. This trade is more of a lotto ticket, and it's still in place, so we'll see what happens. My ZClassic position just got destroyed from not able to move my ZClassic over to Bittrex. So we'll see if this trade will be good or not in the next few months. I didn't have a huge position of my portfolio here, so it didn't really stress me out too much, but I know other people really did believe in this hard fork, and a lot of people were thinking that ZClassic was going to go to $500, $1,000 with this pump, with this news, but unfortunately it did not do that, and a lot of people got caught holding the bag on this one. So let this one be a lesson. And also, even if it did take these violent turns, you could have still capitalized on this oversold ZClassic and had some positions over here at the previous support, at the last support, and could have made good 200% in a matter of seconds. Really, I saw this thing bounce here and go up, and unfortunately I just do not have money on that exchange to capitalize on this trade. But it's always a good idea to watch these and to learn from it, just so you might be able to do this on the next airdrop for another token. And that's why it's always useful to go back in time just to see what happened and see where people made their mistakes and where people were able to capitalize on this. So thanks for listening, and hope to see you soon. Talk later.